And welcome back to another episode of Chronic Contemplations. I'm one of your two hosts. My name is Michael, and of course, as always, Josh.
Good morning. How are you doing, Michael?
It is morning. I just woke up a few minutes ago at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, it could be good evening. It could be good day. I mean,
it's morning somewhere.
Yeah, whenever you're listening to this in your got or sitting at home, whatever. Hello, how are you?
I just realized looking at myself in the camera, I got the Chinese eyes, like they say. Got a little high. Got the Chinese eyes.
Oh, that's what we're here for, the chronic and the contemplations.
That's right. Now, this is our fourth contemplation together. And we've hit some pretty serious topics. So I'm going to lighten the load for an episode for once, just to have a little fun with you. What's a hero, Josh? What's a hero? Tell me about it. What's a hero?
Ooh.
Wow. You weren't expecting that, were you?
No. Wow. I thought you were going to bring some levity to that. That could be deep, though.
Could be deep, but it'll be a lot. I don't know.
It depends on what age Josh you ask. If you ask 20-year-old Josh, it was my dad. If you ask, I don't know, 30s Josh, it's whatever celebrity I was looking up to at the moment. But you ask me now, at almost 50, don't have heroes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't have heroes. Unless, of course, they're fictional. I'm down with fictional heroes. I will look up to Spider-Man. I will look up to Wolverine. I will look up to Bruce Wayne. I am back to 10-year-old Josh.
Batman!
Man, Bruce Wayne had it rough, man. I don't know. Well, as I got older, I realized, dude, we're all human, man. We all fuck up. We all make mistakes. Like, no one is perfect. I think striving toward perfection is fruitless. I think I don't think heroes are a thing we need. I think, are there people to look up to and aspire? Like, somebody has like this awesome value, or they've done this awesome thing that it's good to aspire to? 100%. Yes. Yeah. My friends are my heroes. I'll call
have heroes.
Yeah, but like, because they're my favorite.
Tell me the traits that make a hero. Then that's what I'm kind of trying to get out of you. What is a hero in Josh's mind? What makes a hero? What is a hero?
Okay,
somebody's
trustworthy. And when I say this, I don't mean any 100% perfection way, but somebody who strives to be trustworthy, who strives to be truthful, who strives to do the right thing, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much shit you're gonna get for it. Because sometimes doing the right thing is the hard thing to do, and it takes a lot of courage. Courage is definitely a thing, but trust is a huge thing. I think, because with that trust, I think when somebody personifies, that might not be the right word. When somebody fits the mold of a hero, you look up to that person. You want to, what's that word I'm looking? Maybe emulate would be a good word. You want to adopt their virtues, their values. You want to, adopt them yourselves, and that's fine. Again, it's more, I think somebody who's aspirational, or can be aspirational to someone. I know. I took like a 5-minute bike ride for a 2-second answer.
Well, yeah, I threw you for a loop. You needed a second to gather your thoughts. You were not.
Yeah.
Because I'm not talking superheroes, although we could all day long. But I figure that's another show.
I think superheroes comes with this supernatural capability at that point.
Not always.
No, not always. Not
exceptional
always.
Training sometimes. In Frank Castle's case, for instance.
Bruce Wayne.
Anti-hero, I guess.
Frank Castle's ass. We'll save that for another night.
Yeah, we just went through Frank Castle's the other night.
Yes, we did.
Right. Uh, so, in today's society, you feel we don't need heroes. Differentiate hero and symbol. Heroes are symbols.
Ooh,
I think
think
heroes
yeah,
are symbols or can be symbols.
I think there's some truth to that. Correct. Yes. That's why I'm okay with more fictional heroes more than real life heroes. Um, let's take okay, like people that I
Take it
would.
down the fictional hero road. Take it down the fictional hero road. Let's take the walk.
Okay, and what was the question again specifically? I'm sorry.
Heroes can be symbols. I feel. And
Okay, symbols. Yeah, yeah.
so can you differentiate the two? What's the difference between a hero and a symbol? Not every hero is a symbol.
Let's take. Oh man, I'm bringing Frank Castle back up, but
That's
since
okay.
we're going down, but since we're bringing up fiction heroes and symbols, I think that's a good one. Look, all right, so we all know who Frank Castle is, the Punisher. What he does, he's an anti-hero. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He doesn't believe in due process. Let's say he's judged during an executioner, basically. But he only
almost.
But he targets the bad guys, and he has that symbol of the skull. And you take that symbol off the pages, and you throw it on cop cars now. Well, these cops, real life people, are supposed to be what us citizens would want to aspire to and look at these cops as heroes, but they have this symbol on their car that screams fuck your rights. I'm going to beat the shit out of you before I have any empathy or
you're broad stroking it now. That's not every cop.
I am, bruh. Not every cop. You're right. Not every cop is like this. But there is that mentality. What's that?
Would you go so far as to say it's a majority or a minority?
A majority.
More cops are fuck it than not.
And I say that because this is purely anecdotal, and I would have to find, but I know the research is out there, so I can't sit here and say
it's okay. We're not
take my 100% word, but like if you start watching like First Amendment audit videos and body cam videos and stuff, you'll see these cops doing the bad thing, like one cop doing the bad thing. And you'll see 3 or 4 other cops sitting around watching the cop do the bad thing. Well, those 3 or 4 cops, even though they're not doing the bad thing, they're not doing anything to interject themselves. Like they're watching another cop
make mistakes.
Blatantly is breaking the law. Not even so much as making a mistake. And I think that makes them bad cops too. And I think that because quote unquote the actual rotten ones are covered for because of the thin blue line or that good old Punisher symbol, it makes for the whole industry suspect. So yeah.
Now,
I think maybe that's why. Because when I was young, I would have looked up to a cop. Like growing up, dude, when we were in elementary school and shit, the cops would come to our classrooms and like put on the show with like the McGruff the crime dog and give us lollipops and tell us to call 911 if anybody touches us funny. And like,
which is about good. Like where you grew up when you were a kid. Were you in big towns, small towns?
I was an Army rat. I moved around to different military bases. So I had a very enclosed, naive living childhood. So I would look up to these cops as heroes. And then I grew up as an adult and I was like, whoa, no. Like, I want cops to be hero-esque. I want them to be looked up to as heroes, but I don't think they are. So I think maybe that's the biggest reason why I'm like, don't be looking up to people as heroes nowadays, because everybody I was taught that was a hero growing up, turns out they were a pretty fucking shitty person. So,
Do you have an example you care to give?
John Wayne, or the guy who plays John Wayne, is one. Like, he was supposed to be like the man, the American man, who freedom, blah blah blah. That guy
In
was
his
racist.
era, I think he was, though, and we'll talk about that. Go ahead.
In his era, maybe, but but he still said the racist thing. He was still a racist. So, and I didn't find that out until later in life. What's that?
A lot of America still was racist.
A lot. And you're
a lot of America's still racist. It's just a lot more hidden now, so it's more behind closed doors than it was out in the open back then.
Yes, but if you but as the juxtaposition compared to somebody that was an advocate against racism during that time, like MLK would be actually probably earlier in that, really, off the top of my head, I'm blanking, but I was raised with a false sense of history. Are you familiar with the Reconstruction period? Are you familiar with oh shoot, what's that old film? It was one of the first films viewed in, or the first viewed in the White House.
The Birth of a Nation.
Birth of a Nation. Yeah, I was raised to think that, you know, what we know about the South isn't what we actually know. Like I was raised with the whole, it is heritage. It's not hate. It's they were fighting for states' rights, not for slavery. And I was wrong about that. And again, I was taught by people that I was also taught that I should look up to as heroes. And they taught me wrong. And
who writes the history?
What's that?
Who writes the history?
The winners.
So
they say. But I mean, historians
want to paint your story as prettily as possible, generally.
All right. So historians write history. Are there biased historians? Yes. But then there's not biased historians. So just like, is there biased biologists who believe in creation? Yeah. And there's non-biased biologists who, you know, accept evolution as the only fact. So, I mean, and that whole, well, you know, historians are written by the winners, sort of like one of those, just sort of like a thought-ending cliche sometimes, I think. But
that's exactly what they want. Thought-ending cliches. Mm-hmm. Keep screaming the lie until it becomes the truth. I don't remember who it was that said that, but the more you tell it, the more true it becomes.
A lot of people's pretty much alluded to that concept of, I think, Orwellian speech. Sometimes it's referred to as. It's discussed in 1984. Double speak, basically, or jargon. Rhetoric. The art of rhetoric is a pretty cool thing, because you got your jargon, and you got your euphemisms, and then you have your what's some other different types of rhetoric? Are you being how come words are getting hard at the moment? They're escaping my mind. What's that?
Facetious.
Being sarcastic. Yes. Facetious is, yes, that is definitely a rhetorical tool. Satire. But some of that's also like overlaps with like comedic tools, like satire, like I just said. Again, the crossover. But anyway, we're talking about heroes. So yes, me personally, right now in my life, what's that? And symbols. Yeah, I'm also somebody that don't really buy into symbols much anymore either. Being somebody as a veteran and seeing people fly like yellow ribbons and support veterans and flags and all that, and bumper stickers and stuff, and like to have conversations with these people. And when it comes like the actual like meaning of a constitutional right or something, they just have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, and they could give two shits about somebody else's rights if they're not within their sphere. And I'm like, oh, there's such a contradiction there, dude. So
I agree.
Symbols.
What's
that? I just, I appreciate symbolism. I think it's important as a communicating tool. It always has been and always will be. I just think you have to be careful on what symbols, even like even when you're flying these symbols. I'm gonna go back to my past again. I was raised to fly that good old bars and stars. You know,
I know what you're talking about.
Huh?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I forgot the official name. A lot of people call it the Confederate flag. And like, the Confederacy never actually flew that flag under battle. It's not racist. And I hear that shit. Or the General Lee. It's on top of the General Lee, the car on Dukes of Hazzard. Look, that symbol.
They were specifically though from Hazard County, Georgia, and they
Hazard County,
still
Kentucky.
to this day hate General Sherman. You know.
Yeah.
Because of his march.
So I was raised that that flag was all about being a rebel and its heritage, its Southern heritage, and that's what that symbol meant. And as I got older and I joined the Air Force and I started interacting with people, I had a specific supervisor that kind of, taught me the truth, and all he had to do was say, hey, go to the library and look these things up. So I went to the library and I'm like, oh my God, facts. Anyway, so I found out, and it's so weird because I had an encyclopedia collection as a kid too, but somehow my parents' upbringing, or mostly my dad's upbringing, kind of overrode what I read as a kid. Of course, because we're more biased toward our parents when we're young. It's instinctual. It's how we've evolved to survive. So I learned that flag, it wasn't the fact that it was just quote unquote not used in the war or used in the war. It was the fact that the KKK, like after the war, like murdered and lynched, and like not good things happened under that symbol. Like, so I understood at that point there was another half of this country, the population of this country, that when they saw that symbol, they saw that hate, they saw that racism. And I'm like, I don't want other citizens to look at me and see that of me.
Sure.
So I stopped using that symbol. And so and a lot of symbols are this way. You can have dual meanings, both good and bad. Or a person's, or the perspective on a symbol it can be looked at as good or bad.
Or good and bad, right?
Good and bad. Yeah.
To some people, maybe
weird.
the rebel flag is the symbol of, being a rebel, that, outlaw attitude or whatever, without the hate attached to it. Mm-hmm. However, the symbol itself has the hate attached to it, which is the sticky slope there, the slippery slope.
Well, you can take that further down the logical conclusion and look at the United States of America flag. I mean, let's say you're an indigenous person, you can look at that flag as, colonization, as took my land away, sort of like, came over here and fucked us up, sort of like situation. So, I mean, I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't. I mean, take the American flag you want, but it depends on the perspective of who's looking at that symbol.
Culturally, the perspective indigenously, or whatever your what is that, ethnicity might be.
Ethnicity, nationalism, or ethnicity.
We talked about nationalism before. Let's touch on that too. Like nationalism, for instance, like America itself was a symbol, still is. It's just for different things now. Was a symbol for peace, prosperity, freedom. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now what is it more of a symbol of? The stupid American, the dumb, fat, lazy American.
yeah, the arrogant American, the greedy American, the hoard the wealth but kick the poor in the teeth America. Oh yeah.
Bring us your tired, you're poor. No, turn them back. Those were old words. This is the new America. We don't want your tired, you're poor.
Yeah.
Bring us independently wealthy, so give them a bunch of loans to start businesses.
Oh God, it's yeah. So I don't even Like I don't even like get into symbolism anymore. Like I know what symbols are. I understand what they represent. I can look them up if I don't. I know people use them to communicate, and I'm fine with that. But considering that I'm not a tribal person, is at the same time because I'm really not. I got my tribe. I got my homies. I don't need a symbol to show the world, my friendship with you and Glick and Wally and Ray and all my friends. Like I don't need a symbol for that. You know what I mean? So it's like, ask me. Like, oh, I don't know that you support veterans. No, you don't know that by looking at me, but you know how you can find out by opening your mouth, using your brain, and asking a question,
Sure.
starting a conversation.
Yeah. Get to know.
That's another thing that I think, and that's another reason why I don't like symbols. They're a conversation ignorer.
Unless you're talking about the symbol, right? For
That's
instance,
just a
I
good
got one to
point.
throw at you. What does the symbol swastika mean to you?
I'm familiar with the Nazis, but I know in the back of my mind that other cultures have used that symbol in various other ways.
Way older.
Way older, yeah.
National
But see, in that,
already used it. Way older.
yeah.
You
But
know what
I
it
mean,
meant?
again, what's that?
You know what it
I
meant?
don't know.
Peace, prosperity, well-being.
Fair enough.
Sometimes
It
the
meant
sun also.
it had Spockism. Gotcha. Um, live long and prosper, buddy.
May the fourth be with you.
Spock memes all the month of May for me. Anyway, um, actually, I did send a Spock meme to somebody else the other day. But anyway, symbols. So yeah, so that Nazi symbol, that swastika. Yeah,
See, that's the thing. You're calling it the Nazi symbol.
yeah, because
And
I am
that's
familiar
our
with it. Yeah.
culture now, and that's what it means
Mm-hmm.
to us as a collective. And I find
Something
that
else.
weird, and I find that sad.
I do too. I also realized something when I was growing up. Like my dad raised me to be a gearhead, like a wrench on cars and all that. It stuck with me for a little bit. I learned to wrench on motorcycles. Like I can do it. It's just not really my big interest. Anyway, so he's a big GM guy, Chevrolet, American made. You know, it's a symbol. It's a symbol of American made. You look at that Chevy bow tie, or that Ford oval, or that Dodge, or that Ram, or whatever, it's American made. But I knew ever since I was a teenager that American made cars meant half made in Canada and half made here in the States, up there in like states like Michigan and over the border. I don't know what is it, Ontario? I don't fucking know. Quebec, I don't know. But it's part of Canada. So American made, I understood American made as a teenager as American made as the continent, like North American, like Canada and the United States. American made. Now that whole thing has changed. Like now the whole premise of American made excludes anything from Canada. Like that's why this with the whole auto industry right now and the tariffs and shit and the current administration's made that a pertinent delineation that any cars made in Canada are not American made. And I'm just like,
They're North American made, but that's about as close as you can get.
but they're not, but no, they're Canadian. They're Canadian. They're not American made. They're Canadian. So it's like things change, symbols change. What a hero is changes. Um, so I think that's why I don't have heroes, and that's why I don't take stock in symbols from a personal perspective anymore. Is because I know these things change. Nothing's static. So like who I looked up to as a child, or when I was a child, who I looked up to, who I thought was a hero. Now I don't. I mean, I look at him as just another person that exists on this planet like you and I. So yeah.
Well, culture's changed since our childhood
Oh, absolutely.
immensely. So again, those cultural shifts, the idiom changes, vernacular changes constantly, symbols change, everything changes, everything grows with time. Everything evolves,
Yes.
things warps.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just we're ever changing, constantly.
So now let me flip it on you. What makes for a great villain?
Ooh, smart. They got to be smart. Like they know that they're the bad guy. Like they understand they know they're the bad guy. It's not that they know that they're bad guy. It's just they understand they're a nihilist. Not a nihilist like me, but not all nihilism isn't quote unquote bad off the get-go. But they're definitely nihilists. So they have this thing that doesn't matter what I do, doesn't matter what punishment or what I go through on this material plane. It doesn't fucking matter in the afterlife because there isn't one. So I'm going to rule, and be a bad guy. That's what makes a good villain.
So you don't believe in the sympathetic villain?
What do you mean?
Okay, I know we've talked about it, so you're familiar. I'll just use this as an example. Going back to superhero world.
Yes.
Thanos is a sympathetic villain. He thinks he's doing the right thing. In his mind, he's the only one who sees it. Everyone else is crazy for not understanding what he's trying to do here.
I think
He
he's
legit
dumb.
believes he's right.
Yeah, because he's dumb. Thanos is an idiot. He's not a he's a surface level thinker. That character is a dumb person. Because here's the thing. I mean, he thinks so binary. To me, a bad guy is somebody that is aware. A stupid person that does bad things is because they're stupid, not because they're a bad guy. Thanos, like I said, surface level thinker. He could have thought about it like, instead of snapping my fingers and getting rid of half the population, I can snap my fingers and double the resources or something else. Like he just simply going, oh, the cosmos is overpopulated. Let me snap my fingers and just
That's a hell of a take.
alleviate is reactive. It's just straight action with no thought. It's like it's like the current administration. Trump's quote unquote the bad guy, not because he knows he's the bad guy, because he's trying to be the bad guy, because he's fucking dumb. He's a complete and utter idiot. And he's just acting out of sheer populism. There's no thought to what he's doing. And it's just causing bad things to happen. So yeah. As much as I understand what you mean by the sympathetic villain, but I think that's just that trait is a human trait of doing bad things because one is ignorant. I don't think that's necessarily them being a villain. If that makes sense. I know.
Thoughtless selfishness versus an actual arc and a plan and a strategy and a goal.
And that's the thing. He didn't have no arc. He had no strategy. He had no goal. His goal was only from the get-go, get Gauntlet, kill half the fucking peoples. That was it. I mean, it didn't matter like if he had planned, like if he, I mean, stupid people can make goals. They're stupid goals. I mean, just think about it. I mean, it's still a goal. It's just a stupid goal.
Stupid is, mama.
Yeah, but so because here's the thing. If I think a stupid person is a villain because I think or I'm ignoring the fact that they're not complicit in their actions. They don't understand what they're doing is wrong because of their ignorance. I have to sit here and say my ex-wife is a villain, and she's really not. She's just a dumb person.
What's the phrase? It's you're a hero, and you can either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain.
Yes, I've heard that.
I think it's from a Batman movie.
I think so. I think it was that Aaron Eckhart?
The Bane one. I want to say. Oh no, you're right. It was the The second one, the one with the Joker.
I think it was
Dark
that
Knight.
one.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, I think it was Aaron Eckhart that the.
Yes, Aaron Eckhart, who looks too much like Thomas Jane.
Yes. I'm trying to remember the character's name though.
Oh, Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent. Thank you. And it became Two-Face. Yeah. I no. I mean, yeah, people can change as they get older. Yeah, they can become a bad guy. I think sometimes, like, people look at me and they think I'm a bad guy. They think I'm an asshole. No, I'm real. I'm a realist. I might be cynical. I'm a skeptic. I don't just swallow bullshit. I'm not a people pleaser, so I can come off as the bad guy, but I'm really not. I just stand my ground. But
well, let me ask you this: is Charles Manson a villain?
yes. I think he knew what he was doing was wrong. Yeah, he was fucked up in the head. Don't get me wrong, he had his mental issues, but he knew what he was doing. He was being manipulative. He was manipulating people to do bad things. He was definitely that takes some thought that to sit there and come up with the words to manipulate and persuade people to do such a, you know what you're doing. You definitely a villain. Definitely.
Plus, he himself did a lot of nasty things too.
Yeah. And I'm bringing up the administration again because this is for a general audience, and this is like shit. Like the vice president Vance, I would consider is more of a villain than the president himself. Like again, Trump's just a dumb pawn himself, and he's a victim of his own need for attention and being popular. Vance, like he called Trump out years ago, and over time was like, well, I'm gonna fucking hitch for power. He's gonna hitch his trailer to that truck is what he did. He knows what he's doing. So Vance to me would be more villainous than Trump. Just like I would think Thanos is not as a villain, such as the guy you just brought up. Shit. Manson, yes.
And Manson's a symbol, right?
And Manson didn't even actually kill anybody. You're right. Manson is a symbol too. See, that's the thing. So people can we call it branding, or it's our brand, or I'm branding myself, or Trump is a brand. But Manson did the same thing, just in an infamous kind of way. Like he was a symbol. He was a brand. People bought into him and bought his shit. Absolutely. I mean, it's cultish.
A negative symbol, but symbol nonetheless.
Yeah, it's negative. That's why I use infamous.
Like Hitler, like swastika, Mengele.
Al Capone, or
Sure, Capone.
Mm-hmm.
But in some stories, Capone was a hero in those Chicago neighborhoods.
Yeah,
he was running protection rackets. The everyday people had no idea. He was throwing turkeys out at Thanksgiving and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I find all that stuff interesting about gangsters and the way they've got that public persona, and then there's the one amongst his capos and such. You know what I mean? That's classic scene in Untouchables where he walks around with a baseball bat and he just starts clubbing the guy at the dinner table. Everyone's there to watch. I mean, that's a power move.
It is.
Villainous for sure. Planned out and thought of. The message was received, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What's your whole thing on heroes? Do you have a hero, or?
No, I met one of my heroes once, and that was a mistake. They say don't meet your heroes, and I now know why.
Okay.
I won't mention her name, but she was the greatest pool player on earth for many, 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 many years. And when I met her, she was a total asshole.
Okay.
Being in entertainment, I mean, sure, she plays pool. It's a sport, but we'll call it entertainment. She's on television. She's doing teaching and things like that. I mean, she's a front-facing cog in that machine. Like, she is part of the main mechanism that makes it go. She's a face, and she's sponsored by so many different people and does sponsorships for so many different things.
Yeah,
she should be dancing with the person that got her to the dance in the first place. rather than just ignoring all the fucking fans and going from paid event to paid event to paid event, ignoring everybody.
Mhm.
And that was rude. I thought it was really shitty. And yeah, getting subbed by your hero, like point blank, really sucks.
Mhm.
But I mean, a hero is a symbol. I find it hard to conflate the two. They are kind of one and the same.
I
Just
think you're right.
Villains and symbols are the same too. That's why I was kind of bringing those people up. You
Yeah.
think this person villain, this person villain, this person villain, you automatically know they were bad motherfuckers. Don't want to be in the same room with them ever, because they give me the heebie-jeebies.
It's just like somebody can be a martyr. I mean, that's a symbol. I mean, that's
sure, that's a symbol.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, not something I sat here and really put together, but no, you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Heroes and villains can be symbols.
In most cases, the best ones are. That's kind of my point. Like the best villain of all time, in most people's opinion, Adolf Hitler, the best villain ever. And when you think of him, you immediately think evil. Villains are evil, right?
Yeah.
They don't just break the law. They do it in a careless way to where, their way or the highway. And if there's collateral damage, you got to break eggs to make omelets. And I love omelets.
I don't even think it's so much as breaking the law per se, but just maybe just being a total unethical, immoral dirtbag. Like a leader of a country.
And a dirtbag, you are breaking the law. You're not those three things and not out breaking the law.
Well, I mean, somebody can act outside the law with impunity and still can be considered a villain.
Talking about acting outside the law, because that's what they always say. Michael Knight, like, a Knight Rider, a shadowy loner operating outside the law.
He would be considered an anti-hero. Yeah, I never really thought about that, but yeah. God, that's. Ooh, you know what? I love that show. It's something we should discuss offline. But anyway, moving on.
Don't ruin it for yourself and try watching it again, because it does not hold up. The only cool part of it is the Hoff and the car. Every other aspect of that show is total garbage. It does not hold up. 13-year-old me thought it was the shiz. 46-year-old me thought, what was I thinking? I was such a non-discerning child as far as what my entertainment options were.
Just like we were talking about heroes and growing up and realizing, well, that was a stupid hero. Man, it's the same way with television shows. We are so stupid when we're young and so inexperienced and naive. By the time we hit our age now, it's like we've now experienced the world and we can come to other conclusions, and we see things differently in another perspective. You're absolutely right. I would probably watch Knight Rider now and be like, well, this fucking sucks.
It sucks hard. Dukes of Hazzard, right? I was glued every whatever night that was. Wednesday, Thursday, I remember through the week one night at 8 o'clock to watch the Duke Boys. And they were the heroes of the show. Boss Hogg, the corrupt mayor, has the cops doing whatever he says. And they're just bumbling idiots.
Yeah.
Not a lot of good things to show on national television. Cops are dumb. Hillbillies are great. Your government's corrupt. Enjoy the show.
Don't get me wrong. Like,
and they're telling us this is what it is.
Like, I wasn't mad. Like, I'm not mad at the Dukes of Hazzard. My only hiccup on it, of course, during the time the show was made, the sentiment was there, but it wasn't vocalized and nobody really gave a shit. It was Hollywood didn't. Was the flag on top of the General Lee. Other than that, whatever. The show, like, I got it. Like, being from the South and knowing what moonshine is and being anti-government the way I am, I can understand why the show is popular. Like, I dig it. I like that idea. For its time, it's kind of like the Breaking Bad of now, with the crime aspect of it. But because it did, it definitely. What's that?
One day we got a deep dive on that show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you
write that down somewhere, I'll forget.
If you think about it, like up through the 90s, there was a lot of what's called propaganda, like Law and Order and Cops and all that. You didn't see shows like you do now where the main character is the bad guy. But Dukes of Hazzard, that's what it was. The main characters were the bad guys, quote unquote, in the conventional sense of the law. But from a Southern person that likes their moonshine, watches NASCAR, and says, fuck the government, they're the heroes in the show. They are, and because they do make the cops look like the bad guys. And a lot of cases, the cops are the bad guys. I mean, for instance,
there's that conflated symbol. Cops are supposed to be a symbol for good and justice, but in a lot of eyes, that badge is a symbol of corruption and tyranny.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to ask you, what about how does it make you feel when somebody misses the message of a symbol or a piece of communication or even a message a hero is trying to propagate? How does it make you feel, or what would you say or do when somebody doesn't get that message and they totally get the message totally backwards? I'm trying to think of an example why I asked.
So if I were to be watching, say, a Build the Wall rally, and there's a bunch of dudes dressed up as Captain America, that's a conflated view of that message. Captain America, justice and freedom, not keep out Mexicans.
Gotcha. Yes. Yeah.
Captain America. It's all about
just
America.
Like
America.
That's why I brought up the Punisher symbol. That shit pisses me off. Yeah. Like to misappropriate a symbol like that is effed, in my opinion. I think it communicates the wrong message.
Use the Punisher symbol, that is definitely the wrong message.
Yeah.
Frank Castle is not a good guy.
No,
he gets it done by any means necessary. Yeah. And he is the law in his world.
Or you can take a movie as a symbol, like the movie Don't Look Up.
Oh,
have you seen that? Yeah,
I loved it.
It has a great message. It's a symbol of, it's a movie is a piece of art, and art can represent and symbolize a message, a concept, something of the world. And that's what Don't Look Up is. It's a commentary on how all this bad shit's going on around us, and instead of doing any real work to fix anything, we're listening to bullshit people and keeping our heads down. When that movie came out, it got rave reviews. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, ooh, maybe this will help wake people up.
Wasn't it made for Netflix? Did it have a draft?
It was Netflix. It was straight Netflix.
Yeah, but it was a great movie. And I love symbolism in it too, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's definitely a commentary on what we do in this nation.
Yeah. But now I also look back, like, because I know everybody, not everybody, a lot of people, even the people that still put their head down, still got the message, but they just still put their head down. They just kind of like shrug their shoulders. Yeah, I get it, but okay, go back to work. Go back to being a cog. I watched it on my time off from my overlord's clock.
So, well, back to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It irks me so bad. But then I look back at movies like Idiocracy. What's that? They Live with Rowdy Piper. Movies like
the movie
1984, or even like books like 1984, or
I love John Carpenter movies.
Yeah, or God, which one? Guy Du Bois, Society, Spectacle is a Society. Society's a Spectacle. Anyway, the messages behind like these pieces of art and these symbols and stuff, when people just totally ignore the meaning, but still will throw money at it. It boggles my mind. It's like, well, the movie's got it right, but I guess because they got it right, we're just fucked. I don't know how to the predictions were made. We're living through that prediction. It's like, well, how do you unfuck that prediction? How do you unpredict it now? You can't. We're just going through.
Now it's self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, manifest destiny. Shit.
All right. let's try this. We got a little bit left here. Let's
Yeah.
go through your Mount Rushmore of villains. Real or imaginary?
Ooh, real or imaginary?
Or we can do both, real and imagined. Probably make that fit.
I could, yeah. Ooh, I want to do both. I want to do like
Who was
comic
the
and then
best
real,
villain ever, and
real
why is
life.
it hater?
Okay. First, I'm gonna do comic books. I'm gonna do like fictional. Doctor Doom.
Bingo, same.
Magneto.
Same.
Dr. Moriarty from Sherlock
Right.
Holmes. And Q from Star Trek Next Generation. So,
Is Q a villain?
yeah, Q is a villain.
You're gonna have to talk me into that one.
Okay, fair enough.
Q was his own thing. I always thought he didn't really have villainous or virtuous. He just was. He had no equal. He had to learn as he went. He didn't really know about consequences and shit because he just did for eons and eons. I mean, with the power of absolute creation, bam, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
The warp and bend reality at will. Like they say, what do you call a superhero that answers to nobody and does whatever he wants? A villain.
Yeah.
That's kind of Q.
Yeah.
Villains, he just didn't, with all that cosmic power, he had no sense of self, basically, and no empathy. But once he met Picard, and Picard and their dialogues and whatever, and just putting him through these different scenarios, trying to break him and seeing how he doesn't break, made you want to be better. He might have started off with villainous traits, but I don't think he really fits the bill as a villain. That's me personally, just my comment on that.
I always thought he was faking that whole I don't understand humanity bullshit. How do you like be an infinite being like this and don't know shit? I don't know. I kind of always saw Q as like Star Trek Next Generation's commentary on the Abrahamic God in the Bible.
But he wasn't omniscient. He didn't just know everything.
Q?
Yeah.
How can you like create stuff and not know everything?
But I mean, they never really painted him as an omniscient being.
Well, no, because if you're making things and you're making stuff to fit within the laws of the universe per se, like you have to know everything that makes everything work in order to create something in that thing. Is what I mean. So it would have to be like it wouldn't be off base to presume that Q was omniscient. So is all I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't think you have to know how it works to make it work. For just as an example.
No, I'm not saying you have to know. I'm not saying you have to know how to make it work to make it work. I'm saying you have to know how it works to create within it.
Unless it's just a sheer force of will that you don't personally understand. Like when Peter Rasputin first turns into the Colossus, the mighty Colossus, it was a reflex action due to a stressful moment when he lifted the tractor or whatever, blocked the tractor. Yeah. And after that, then he knew how to do it. He just could do it at that point. He didn't have to think about it. It just was. It could be like that. You. It's just a force of will. It's like, man, I could really use some water. A water pops in front of him. You know what I'm saying? A glass of water. Something simple as that might have given him the realization, holy shit, I can make whatever I want happen without knowing how it works.
Yeah, I don't know.
Reality. He's against the laws of natural physics, really. The two kind of conflate each other. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm not arguing with you and telling you
you're good.
Villain.
No, you're good.
I myself don't classify him as a villain.
I just
your
classification
is wrong. I just disagree with it.
I guess I'm saying
it wrong.
Q. No, you're good. I think Q is always like one of the most interesting characters on Star Trek Next Generation to talk about. So we'll definitely have to put a pin on this one.
Were species 8472 or whatever they were, the numbered species, were they villains?
No. Wait, hold on. What species? I don't remember every
The
single
ones from
episode.
did you ever
Been a
watch
while.
Voyager with Captain Janeway?
Yeah, but it's been so long. It wasn't one of my favorites.
They were like the biological ships and stuff. They were like interdimensional. They would just pop in from their dimension on top of them when they were in the Delta Quadrant. Anyway, never mind. Unpopular opinion. My
No,
favorite.
you're good. All right, so my list of 4 non-fictional villains.
Gotcha.
Hitler would be one. Napoleon would be another one.
Nice.
I'm trying to get a little bit more modern. Harvey Weinstein.
No.
He's villainous. He's a real villain. It's really hard to go the top one because a lot of people do some really bad fucking shit. And you know what? Since we're like, it's been sort of like we've been referencing movies, and my mind's kind of there right now. Which you guys should check us out on Friday nights on Nonsense and Chill, where it is all about movies. Little self promotion there.
Nonsensical. Friday night, 8:00.
Yeah.
Nonsensical Network. Check us out.
Like I said, I think a villain is someone who knows what they're doing is wrong and they do it anyway, and they're manipulative and blah blah blah. Someone like Danny Masterson. So, yeah. But I know that's like small time. I know that's not small time. Okay. Ron L. Hubbard.
L. Ron.
L. Ron Hubbard. See, that's how little respect I have for that Scientology creator.
Pretty sure the L is for Llewellyn.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive it's Llewellyn.
I think he's pretty villainous. I think what he created was pretty villainous. So, yeah. What about you, man? I'm curious.
All right, fictional. We rode the first 2 together: Doctor Doom and Magneto. 2 of the all-time great villains. Doctor Doom.
I know. I was trying to branch out of all the comic books there for a little bit. So go ahead.
I gotcha. I don't remember what the character's name was, but Mission Impossible 3. The villain was played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was an excellent villain.
I don't remember his name, but you are correct.
A great depiction and just a great. He was just an outstanding villain, in my opinion. He chilled the blood. He was absolutely cold, and man, was he great. And then I can't put together my 4 without putting in Darth Vader, the best villain of all time.
Fair
Wizard,
enough.
The evil space wizard, the best villain of all time, in my opinion. Very close second, Doctor Doom. Just on his heels, Magneto. But I mean, man, the Marvel Universe has so many great villains.
They do.
Dr. Octopus is a great villain.
I almost wanted to say I almost went with Doc Ock because he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing, and it's just. But on a scale of villainy, like Magneto and Doom's bigger up there.
Oh, absolutely. So. Yeah, Dr. Octopus rarely is a global threat. Dr. Doom is a multiversal threat. I mean, he has done some things that no other villain can even dream of doing in the comics. I hope they do him right in the movie coming up. I really hope that Dr. Doom gets his due. I didn't love
Pedro Pascal.
Brought in
Pedro Pascal has been on a fucking a home run fucking like streak right now. So I have good optimism for
Did you see the unbearable weight of massive talent?
I haven't, not yet.
Dude, Pedro Pascal's in that.
Yeah, I'm gonna binge watch a lot of his movies
awesome.
soon. I'm gonna binge watch a lot of his shit.
And again, that was like the beginning of Nick Cage coming back with good stuff, good material. That is a fucking great movie. Make sure you watch it. I think it's on Tubi, man.
Willy's Wonderland. That's the name of that Nicolas Cage movie I wanted you to watch. Okay. Sorry, we're going off in the weeds with movies here. Okay. Let's reel this back in. You said that was 3 fictional characters, right?
4.
You said 4. Okay, cool.
We got Magneto, we got Doom, we got the other one I said.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's character.
Yes, that was it. Philip Seymour Hoffman's. I wish I could remember his name. But he was just so icy cold. And an honorable mention, if you don't mind, The Mighty Monarch is an outstanding comic villain. If you've ever seen, you would know if you knew who this was. Check out the Venture Brothers. It's a comic. It's a animated series, and the Mighty Monarch is an awesome, shitty bad guy, and just the way he just superbly kind of personifies what a villain is, but they're just inept at it. He's not stupid. He just sucks at his job. His minions are garbage.
Before we go into your 4 nonfiction, were you an Adult Swim watcher such as I?
Uh-oh. Did you freeze or did I?
Oh, I might have froze. I don't know. I know. I asked before we go into your 4 nonfiction. Were you an Adult Swim watcher such as I?
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
My first foray into that was watching Robot Chicken. Yeah. I think that was Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Still love it.
It was right after. Was it Toonami block? It was a Toonami block, and then went into Adult Swim.
And then
the Toonami was like
into, Moral Oral. It came on right after Robot Chicken for a while, and I was like, "What is this shit? This is awesome!" And then I started getting into more and more stuff, and that's where I found the Venture Brothers, and it is awesome. You got to watch it if you watch. Give it 2 or 3 episodes, and if you don't love it, it just isn't for you. But you kind of gotta get past the first one. It's not a bad episode, don't get me wrong. It's just they introduce more characters after that initial episode, but it's got the same weird feel, and the characterizations really arc for a lot of the characters, and there's a whole bunch of characters. So yeah,
I remember seeing it, but I never really watched it. It didn't seem to be my cup of tea at the time, but I will have to.
I didn't think I'd like it either. And then somebody just like, dude, just watch it. Sit down and watch one, and just watch it. And I was in love with it. I was hooked. I just loved the feel of it. I liked the humor. Dude, you and I like dark humor, and
that's why I loved Moral Oral. Moral Oral was nothing.
I'll give you one of the jokes. And then this, if nothing else, it might intrigue you to go ahead and watch it. So they're about to head back to the compound where they're at. They're the Venture Brothers. They're like science boys, boy adventurers. Their dad's like a super scientist. And he's born into the super scientist game. His dad was a super scientist. And then there's this league of villains and a bunch of different villains that come after the super scientists and shit. It's insane and fucking hysterical. So they're like, okay, well, last one back to the compound is a rotten egg. And then, or no, just before that, one of them says, Ma Venture didn't raise no fools. And then the other one looks at him and says, we don't have a mom, Hank. They just kind of look at each other weird for a minute. One kicks a stone and they're like, well, last one on the compound is a rotten egg. And they jump on their bikes and just ride off. But they have a weird wistful moment thinking, oh, we don't have a mom.
Was that show a parody of Johnny Quest?
It is definitely Questish. Absolutely it is. They actually bring in Johnny Quest, I think, in one of the future seasons. They just call him Johnny. I don't think they call him anything else but Johnny. Okay. But it is definitely Johnny Quest. But he's older, he's out of shape, he's all strung out. Dude, you gotta
okay, it sounds like I gotta watch this. Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to watch
check it out.
Okay.
And the henchmen, dude. The Monarch's henchmen are classics. And another honorable mention for fictionals, Killface.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any idea who Killface is. He's from another animated thing. It was called Frisky Dingo.
No, I'm not familiar with Frisky Dingo. I'm familiar with the Dingo H.O. Baby.
That's where Adam Reed got his start on that show. He produced and made that show. And then he moved on to Archer. Okay. Very similar art style and everything, and very similar storytelling style. It was just more like on a super villain kind of scale, and it was hilarious. Like the good guy hero dude is a total jack off, and it's hilarious. There's only 2 seasons, and they're only like 12-minute, 13-minute episodes. So if you ever find that on air, you can binge it in literally like 2 hours.
I will have to check that out.
Frisky Dingo, check that one out. Real life.
Frisky Dingo. Yes, your real life hero or villains.
You can't go without Hitler. You just can't do it.
I agree. 100%.
Rasputin.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh.
To steal a coined term from Dan Cummins, great stand-up comedian. He's photogenically insane. You can tell from pictures that dude's a fucking crazy fucker. Just like Manson. You can just tell. From looking at the picture, he is photogenically
Agreed.
fucking insane.
Well, so was fucking is it satire? Is it satire? Satire? No, not satire. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm thinking of Guy Du Bois. There's this one philosopher, like he's got this one lazy eye. And there's this picture of him standing up on a corner of a brick building, and he's got his trench coat on, and he's got his lapel up, and I think he's lighting a cigarette, and he's looking up, but that one eye is over here, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's just, but it matches his crazy philosophy. But anyway, um, Rasputin.
Yes, Rasputin for 2. Stalin, man.
That's a good
Stalin
one.
killed.
That's a good one.
Stalin killed like 18 million people just because they weren't one particular ethnicity. He gets a pass for not being the most evil fucker ever.
Yeah.
And boy, man, that last one's a tough spot to fill. So much evil still left.
Right. It is. It is. That's why I kind of threw in.
But I'm going to go with Pope. You choose. Any Pope. Top villain ever.
Okay. There's a lot of heartbreak over the recent one passing away.
I have no idea. I don't watch the news. I'm not religious. If that religion, I'm not going to apologize for what I just said. I know you're not. I'm talking to the listeners, viewers. If that bothered you, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not shitting on you personally. I just think that a whole lot of evil goes through the Catholic Church.
Oh, I agree.
And they don't not know. They don't not know. They know.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Children's Crusade?
Huh?
The Children's Crusade. Are you familiar with that?
Is that the one with the hot air balloon? No, that's Kids Miracle Network. Never mind.
No. The Crusades. Remember?
Mm-mm. Oh, the Christian Crusade. Yeah, I'm familiar with them. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a Children's Crusade. This guy had this brilliant idea. We'll send all these kids over there, and they'll just, with the light of their virtue alone, they will change those heathens and march forward and, change them and make them Christian by their purity and virtue. Do you know what happened to those children?
Probably not good things.
They never made it to the Holy Land for their crusade. They were all sold into slavery in Europe before they even left.
That's gross.
How fucked up is that?
Like I said,
it was one of the Pope's ideas.
The Pope Francis, the most current Pope, passed away the other week, and there was a lot of, oh, he was the most liberal Pope. He's going to be missed. He did such wonderful things. He was so pro LGBTQ, blah, 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 blah. You know what? Fuck that guy. You ever saw a fucking church that still hid and covered up child rape? Now, fuck that guy. No, you're right. Like, I'm not mad at, like, I agree with you. You Pope, any of them. No. Pope asterisk.
Pope fill in the blank.
Yeah, no shit, man. I agree. Okay. So, on a more positive note, who are your 4 non-fiction heroes, if you were to have heroes, or people you think are aspirable, and your 4 fiction heroes that are portrayed as heroes in movies or comics or whatever?
Oh, man.
I mean, we did villains. I might as well go ahead and end on the heroes.
You know what I mean?
It really is, yeah.
Because, like, here, specifically in Ohio, we always had big Columbus Day celebrations, things like that. But when you learn the real history of Christopher Columbus, not a good guy.
No,
Not a
not
good
at
guy.
all.
But
Not at all.
his era standards, he just did what he had to do, I guess. All I'm saying is, when you got public executions and shit, you're desensitized to violence.
Yeah.
That's their violent video game excuse, I guess I'm giving them. I'm kind of building that in. Their world was a lot more brutal. It was a lot more physically violent. And it was a lot more okay, because what are you going to do? You can't spit on a rich fella. He'll whip you with his riding crop.
Yep.
So,
okay.
That being said, man, I'll go fictional first, because I need a second to wrap my head around fucking real life heroes.
I know that's going to be a hard one.
There are
but
so...
I mean, we did villains. I thought I want to do heroes too, because
real life hero, Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay, I can get behind that one. All right.
Leonardo da Vinci.
We know enough of we know so little of his personal life, and we know more of his professional life that I would agree.
Other real life heroes. Say what you want about the guy. Ulysses S. Grant. While he did have faults, once he overcame his issues and leaned in and did what he had to do, he really did have a lot of qualities of heroism, not just in battle, but in dignity and respect for his enemies. Like, he didn't want to commit to total war, but at the same time, that was the only way to end this terrible, horrible, bloody conflict. He did what he had to do in the moment and regretted every year of it after that for the rest of his life. I don't know if you're aware of that. A lot about you.
Oh, no, I do.
A lot of people want to remember that he was an alcoholic. Well, that wasn't his entire life. I mean, when he
So
pulled
was
his past,
Churchill.
he got a lot of responsibility like that. He had quit drinking. He wasn't doing that shit. He started drinking because they wouldn't give him any work. And he was a dare I say, brilliant military mind. He definitely thought outside the box. He saw ways to get through things that were supposedly impenetrable. Ulysses Grant, plus he trusted in his men. Anyway, a lot of reasons. I'm going to go with one of Ohio's 8 great presidents. Well, 8 presidents, not 8 great presidents, but one of Ohio's 8 presidents. Ulysses S. Grant. Oh, boy. Albert Einstein.
Ooh. Okay. That one's a controversial one to call a hero. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I know some people would throw out, well, he did help invent weapons of mass killing. So, but he did bring us the theory of revolution, which was a huge boom when it comes to physics. So, I mean, I would agree. So, anyway.
He had a good heart. He thought, I think, in ways of good for the masses. His thoughts. But at the end of the day, he just enjoyed those esoteric, big picture, universal questions. And that's where most of his time was spent, in the clouds, in the universe, wondering.
He's a philosopher. He's a brilliant mind. Brilliant mind.
A patent clerk that came up with equals MC squared. I know what it is through general relativity, but at the end of the day, it's like I still don't exactly understand what the fuck it means.
I don't either. I know it explains
logically and shit. I mean, the man was brilliant. Like gravity wells and things like that. He predicted that they finally figured out black holes. They figured they were able to be proven and shit. Most of it posthumously, which is a bummer for him. But I mean, he was on the right track. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was talking about. Oh, and my number 4, it's kind of a toss-up. I wish it was a 2-headed monster. But I'm going to go with Nikola Tesla.
Ooh, that's another good one. Oh, man.
The man
that's a good one.
For everybody. What's the main cause of war? Resources. If you can give everybody free power, that's one resource nobody has to worry about anymore. Now they can fight over other shit.
Yeah.
Westinghouse screwed him over. At the end, tried to make it right, but he didn't.
Tesla, not Tesla, but what was the other dude? Thomas Edison screwed him over.
Well, Westinghouse did it first. Edison ruined him.
Yeah.
Or at least tried to. He ended up losing. But by the time he had all that money to spend, Tesla was already kind of laughed out, and they just kind of stole the fucking shit anyway.
Yeah.
But everything you do electrically has a lot to do with Nikola Tesla. He didn't invent it, the alternating current, or the alternating current motor, but he definitely improved both and made them far more efficient. Yeah.
Nice. I like those four. I dig them. Well, the Christopher Columbus one, but I know I got you. Local hero.
I mean, who doesn't remember when in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue? I mean, that was one of
I
our
remember that.
Here in those. I mean, Columbus, Ohio. Who do you think that's named after?
Very true.
And again, it was just I don't know. Here specifically, I don't know what it was like in your education in another state, but here they made a real hero out of Christopher Columbus and said there was always a Columbus on a boat float. Always. And when you really get to the real history, like, man, I wish I could remember the cat's name. When we wrote a book, it was like the real history of the United States of America.
It sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of the ugly truth in that real history that is glossed over in a lot of history. And those were my favorite history classes that I took when I was going to university. Was the one historian's name was Ken. And man, was he a great teacher. He told you the whole story. Like, there's so much more to the Boston Massacre than shots fired, people died. So much more goes into the Boston Massacre.
The Boston Tea Party, that whole thing, there's so much more that goes into that other than just, they dumped tea into the harbor and they protested. No, it was more than just about tea tax. It was about alcohol too. You know, alcohol was about alcohol as well. It wasn't just the taxes, but it was the inability to self-regulate taxes or some shit like that.
There's a lot of that.
Anyway, yeah.
The inability to do anything without having to pay something back to the crown with no support system. They're calling it's not like they're getting fucking stuff from back home unless it's tea and shit like that. But the tea thing, it was because they were only allowed to buy English tea.
Yeah.
That was what the Tea Party mostly about. But it was also about insurrection. It was about showing people, hey, you can make a difference if you act out. I mean, the Federalist Papers are just being out there. I mean, the Philadelphia was fomenting insurrection for years. It was coming to a head. But that particular day, I mean, so much goes into that particular story that you don't know, like the underlying factors. Just the weather that day had a lot to do with it. You probably didn't know it was cold and drizzly rainy. Yeah, nope. A lot of people don't. Why would you want to know that?
No.
It's aggravation that these British soldiers have slogging through these swamps and shit.
Yes,
they want to be back home with their wives. You assholes won't listen. Now I'm here because of you. The Boarding Act. That's not exactly what it was called, but where the British troops can go in and just take over houses to house themselves.
I think the 8th Amendment covers that, or the 9th, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't recall. It was just the whole thing where it was just a thing that they passed so they could come over and not have to worry about barracking and billeting their own troops. They just put them in other people's houses. They kick them right out of the house. Well, this is our place now. We need a place to sleep.
Yeah. It's it's good to know even the small details, even like what the weather is, because it really it helps you.
Put you in the mindset like a soldier.
Exactly.
They're
because
for these other reasons too. Now it's cold, it's raining. I got to come out here because you guys won't shut the fuck up. And it all just builds to a head and escalates, and bam, the Boston Massacre. And those words are selected very carefully because it wasn't a massacre.
What about your Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. I'm
No,
looking
no.
at the time. I do have a shift tonight, so I don't
Yep.
want to go too long. What
No,
about your fictional heroes?
Oh, I didn't do those yet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's not on there. Honorable, never going to mention Superman. Can't stand him.
Fair.
I'm going to go Captain America for sure. Batman. The MCU specific versions. I didn't really read a lot of Iron Man, but Iron Man, what a great hero.
I can go. Yeah. I can see that for the movie ones. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And for fictional, Jesus Christ. The man stood for a lot of great things. You can't argue that.
I like that one. That's funny. I dig it.
If we were more Christ-like, we'd have a better world.
I agree.
Christ
Or
a lot of good things.
That's because everybody be eating fish sandwiches and fucking drinking wine, man. Shit, it'd be fun. Yes, eat fish sandwiches and drink wine.
I think Jim Gaffigan has a bit about that. It's like, hey, Jesus, did you have to turn all the water into wine? We're in the desert feeling a little parched. Not all of us want to catch a buzz, bro.
He's a funny dude. Gaffigan.
Thanks for your time, man. Conversation. I just wanted to kind of get in your wheelhouse.
Oh, man.
Where your heroes are, where your mind is on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I know you got some pretty wild views.
I do. I don't have heroes as an adult.
You know, insurrectionist or whatever. Yeah. I think that you're an interesting person. You actually have viewpoints, and you see things from a lot of different views that other people don't get.
Yeah,
and that's what I like talking to you for. You're always a good conversationalist.
This is something I want to throw out, and this is a quote, and I'm paraphrasing that I ran across recently. Something to the effect of, "Oh, why am I blanking? It was just in my head." Ah, shite. I know, chronic contemplations. Oi. Anyway, go ahead, Michael. It'll probably pop back in my head here in a moment, I'm sure.
For me, the real life ones were the hard ones, I think, but the fictional ones, those are pretty easy because I was a big comic book nerd anyway. Like Luke Skywalker doesn't even enter into it.
Interesting.
I love Star Wars, but I mean, man, the villains are the best part of Star Wars. All the best villains, like Kenobi. I'm not even a fan of Kenobi. Kenobi's a dick. He's a villain as far as I'm concerned. In most aspects, not so much. But he left his best friend, his brother, alive, burning to death on the edge of a lava pit. Instead of putting him out of misery, he just walked away from him. That's some cold shit. Listening to his screams as he walks away.
That's fucked, yeah. That is pretty effed up.
Dude, I agree. That is not something a Jedi does. Ben Kenobi is not a Jedi anymore. As far as I'm concerned, that was the moment he stopped being a Jedi.
Okay. God, I wish I remember what that quote was. It was a good one. It was a nice little words of wisdom that I fudge. Crap. I forgot what it was now. I feel so unprepared.
The best words of wisdom. Keep the red stuff on the inside. Look at the grass.
I like that one.
Don't feed it. Keep your toes up. I'm sorry. Keep your chin up. Don't go toes up.
Fair enough. Michael, I really enjoyed today's conversation. It was fun. It was. Thank you. Thank you.
So we hit some pretty heavy points too. And like you said, it could get heavy here and there, and it did a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to change the pace a little bit for once.
I remember what the quote was.
Oh, let's hear it.
I do. Or like I said, I'm paraphrasing. So if you haven't like inventoried or deconstructed your beliefs, they're not your beliefs. You were just taught to have them. They're not yours. Someone gave them to you.
They evolve.
I'm paraphrasing.
They evolve.
What's that?
They should evolve as you live and grow.
Well, no. What I'm saying is like I was taught to believe a certain religious thing growing up, and I was taught it. I didn't think about it. Me personally, I just accepted it. And then later on in life, as an adult, I sat down. Not all in one night. It was just when you deconstruct a big world foundational belief. It's not an overnight thing. But I deconstructed it and realized it's not my belief that I want to hold. So it's not my belief, it was somebody else's. However, if you deconstruct that and decide to go ahead and hold on to that belief after you've thought it through and convinced yourself, basically, then yeah, then it's your belief is what I'm saying. So yeah, know what you believe. Know it's your belief is all I'm saying.
That's the same thing as knowing yourself. Temet Nosuke.
Huh? Sure. Yes.
Know thyself.
Okay,
If
I've
you
heard
know
know
yourself
thyself.
and you know who you are, you know why you believe what you believe. You know why they're your beliefs. And those are apt to change. They're not required to.
Hmm.
But I think that if you are at my age, for instance, I'm 51 years old. If I was the same 51-year-old I was at 21, I would have considered no, I wouldn't have considered anything because I'm a moron. I haven't been thinking and changing and evolving.
Mm-hmm.
But this me would think that's a total waste of person, a total waste of life. You learned nothing in 30 years from 21 to 51.
Mm-hmm.
None of your attitudes change. None of your,
Mm-hmm.
because like you said, everything is learned in the beginning. But once you go out and experience life yourself, that's when you really develop your thoughts, your feelings, what makes you who you are and why you want to be that person, I think.
Yeah.
And again, knowing yourself and having self-awareness. And that's, I think, another word I can paraphrase to what you were saying. That's just being self-aware.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But you think like a fucking computer and in zeros and ones talk.
I don't though. I'm not a binary thinker. I'm a dialectical thinker. I come at it with a more I try I when having okay, so for me when you and I are having these conversations, there's the colloquial way to have a conversation, and then there's I like to come out at a conversation with some more seriousness to it. With humor. Don't get me wrong, please. I love laughing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like total fucking Mr. or what's that character? Mueller, fucking Ben Stein. I'm not a total Ben Stein, goddamn it. But I do. I do have I have an interesting way of looking at the world. It's more it's been I've been told it's pragmatic. Or I'm a cynic or blah blah blah. I just chalk it up. I am just me.
Those labels. Just keep being you, baby.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, labels? I don't disagree with labels. Labels have a conventional use, but don't buy into them. Don't just take them at face value.
Some labels are symbols.
Some labels are symbols. Ooh, I like that. But on that note, Michael, you got any last words, sir?
As always, it's been a great time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for talking with me, Josh. I almost called you John. I think I kind of did call you John.
That was weird. John.
I'm reading it instead of just saying it. I'm reading it.
I've done that before. You're good.
Because I'm the professional idiot.
I think I deserve it after you're botching your fucking first name the first time I had you up on one of my shows, man. You're good.
That was the first time, though. This is our fourth fucking episode.
But we're stoners at the same time. So again, I'm a let's
Brother, always a great time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
On that note, good night, good morning, have a good day, and yes, bye-bye.